What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall market and break down some big news that came out involving Donald Trump that's causing the market to dip, at least for the time being. We're going to be watching to see if we could form some kind of bottom soon. As of right now, there's no sign of the bottom yet, but we'll see if we end up forming it, at least as time goes on, especially for today. Just know that I'm not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. The offer ends at the end of March. So, as far as Tesla's going, I want to remind you all we have a big gap to fill all the way down at $220 a share. There's this giant gap that will eventually get filled, right? But before we fill that gap to 220, um, you know, is it possible we just dump straight down? I mean, it's always a possibility, but what I want to say is I want to see this thing base first, very close to 250 to see if we could hold that support, to see if we get some kind of temporary rebound with the bullish divergences before we continue to dip to fill that gap. And we'll see if we get some kind of rebound or not. Okay, that's what we're essentially looking for on the larger time frames. Now, for the short term, the market is quite bearish amidst a lot of news that came out. I'm going to talk about the news first and I'll break down this chart. One thing worth mentioning is that Tesla's lost a lot of market value in its overall market cap. And then there's been a lot of talk about how their sales are declining. The European sales are looking at 76% declines in Germany, 55% declines in Italy, 50% declines in Sweden, and the list goes on. Chinese sales also fell 49% in February, despite the Model Y refresh anticipation. So hopefully that could help the sales to some extent. But their sales are continuing to decline very, very hard. And as a result, I did see analysts who now expect the share price from, and this is from UBS, they're expecting the share price to go down to $225 a share. This is some bad news for Tesla. This is part of why it's dipping. Also, the whole market is dipping amid something that Donald Trump has said. Donald Trump is not denying that there could be a recession this year under his leadership. Many people are trying to say it's because of tariffs and this and that. Other people would argue that's because of the previous administration, because of the Fed. Everyone's trying to point fingers to somewhere. At the end of the day, it doesn't really help. We know that a recession is likely on the table, looking at the fact that we have high interest rates and looking at the declines we're starting to see. So we'll see if we end up getting our GDP numbers to be revised as a result of this. And also, Donald Trump is mentioning that this could be a necessary tool, at least during the transition that we're going to be looking for in the economy. So that's what Donald Trump has said. He's not denying a recession. And this is making all headlines all over world news. Donald Trump will not rule out a recession in 2025. This is why the market's dipping, at least for the time being. So we're starting to see this just continuing to come out, right? Now, does that mean it's going to happen immediately? We can't really say that yet. And then typically by the time we find out, we're already in one, right? So, we could already be entering a recessionary period or very close to it. And we have to be very, very careful. However, I just want to say that Donald Trump mentioned that this is what, our economy needs for a big transition, and we'll see how things go, at least moving forward with his tariffs. The next deadline is going to be in 2 days for the next tariffs to be imposed on steel and aluminum. So keep that in mind, guys. This is some big news. We have consumer inflationary expectations at 10 a.m. We'll see what kind of moves that causes in the stock markets. Look for some volatility at 10 a.m., 30 minutes after the stock market opens. And then, as you guys can see, for earnings, we're going to be listening to Oracle's report very soon to see what they have to say. Besides that, we just have a bunch of retail. To add on to this, there's all this talk about how there's recessionary fears now coming out. Big shift in narratives right now, and we're just continuing to see a lot of downside. So keep that in mind. We're also going to be looking for a big transition in power in Canada after they have a new prime minister that's going to be winning soon. So keep that in mind. This is what we're seeing, at least so far, as we're making lower highs and lower lows, continuing to dump, at least for Tesla. We're watching this 250 area to see if we could base right here. That's going to be our big support. And then if not, it all depends on the daily chart. Keep in mind that we have two supports here. There's actually another one around that 240 area. So we're going to be looking to see what happens around this 250 area. If that fails us, then we're looking for 244. And if that fails us, I'm looking for this low right here around 240, which is where we have to bounce. If we don't bounce there on Tesla, then we have this big gap to fill. So you want to be very careful with it. For now, watch 250 to see if we base here. We're going to be waiting to see where this base is before it tries to rebound. We're not ready yet. It's still dipping amidst this bad news that came out involving Tesla sales decline, a downgrade, and then also Donald Trump denying a recession so far. Sorry, not denying it, not ruling out a recession. Excuse me, guys. He's not ruling out a recession for the year. So that's a little bit negative for the markets. We're seeing SPY dipping as well, but we need to see if we could hold support or not. And we're still weak, so we have to give this some time to base. If I zoom into the chart, you guys could see that there is the possibility of an inverse centralist, but I'm not as confident about this. We're going to be looking at that 565 area for critical support, not to mention all the way back down towards 560, excuse me. But when you go to the daily time frame, notice that even though we're below our 200 EMA, we have to see if we close above or below that 568 area. We're still technically at support. Could we dip to 565? It's possible, but wait and see what happens. The last time we dipped below our 200, we saw buyer's defense. We'll see if that happens or not. On the QQQ, we're on a downtrend. We're also dipping quite a bit. It's about 484. Not a good sign for the QQQ. If we don't hold 484, we're looking for a dip closer to 480. If that fails us, we could be dipping all the way down towards 477. So watch to see how well we hold that 480 area. We need to see this reclaim 490 for some kind of rebound. Otherwise, we're technically on a much larger downtrend. For the Russell 2000, we're actually looking relatively weak here, making lower highs and lower lows. We're continuing to fall. I just want to say that we need to see this try to reclaim this 208 area. If not, we could continue to fall. We're trying to actually hold right over here, so that's looking quite decent. We need to see if 200 holds at the very least. So if this does dip a bit more, we're looking for 200 to see if that could hold. That's where we have a big support. And we'll see if we get a bounce on the Russell 2000 or not. It all hinges upon 200 or not. So keep that in mind. ES is still dipping right now amidst this fear about the recession. Watch to see if this low holds at 56.70. If that doesn't hold, we could be dipping all the way down towards the 56.30s. So we'll give this some time. We're dipping for the time being. We still look bearish for now, but we have to give this some more time to see if these lows end up breaking or not. Unfortunately, NQ is trying to bounce on Friday, but we're losing 20,000, which is not a good sign. If we can't hold that, we're going to be at risk of dipping even more. So we need to get back above 20,000 soon. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking for support around 19,800. If that fails us, we could be dipping all the way down towards 19,500. So there's a risk of more downside. We'll see if buyers defend or not. Bitcoin has been dipping quite a bit, so we have to see how this reacts. So we're looking for essentially 86,000 as our resistance. Our main support is all the way down here around 80,000, not to mention 77,000. Bitcoin dumped quite a bit. Now it's getting bought back up. So we're going to be looking for a test of 85,000 on Bitcoin just to see if this gets a rejection or not. So just be very, very careful. On Nvda, we're actually looking a little bit weak on Nvda. If you look at like the 4-hour time frame, we're technically on a downtrend right here, so we need to see if this low holds at 107. If not, this could continue to fall to 105. So for now, yes, we're looking a little bit more bearish, and we're still trying to develop these bullish divergences, but it's not really enough for the market to bounce. Tesla could also dip lower. Aapl is kind of flat right now, not looking too good. We could be looking for a test of 235 near our imbalance. And we'll see if it bounces off that, but I do anticipate a little bit more downside. On coin, unfortunately, we have a gap to fill, but we were expecting this to dip a bit. Watch that 200 support to see if that holds. We could be attempting to form a double bottom here, but it's still bearish. On Amazon, we're on a downtrend right here. So we could be looking for a move all the way down towards like 192 to 190. So I do anticipate this to dip a little bit more. We'll see if 190 holds or not, but for now, still looking kind of weak. On Meta, we could be dipping all the way down to about 600, very psychological support. We'll have to see if that holds as well. We did hold that on Friday, so I could see a little bit of a dip, but we'll see what the reaction is. For Microsoft, we'll have to see if we could hold around 386. If not, we could be dipping all the way down to about 380. So you want to be very careful. Google's looking bearish. We could be dipping back down to about 169 or below, all the way down to like 167 also. So we'll see what the reaction is. The VIX remains bullish for now. So my honest view is that the market is still weak, and this is dragging Tesla down for the time being. But I'm open-minded to the possibility that this will eventually try to reverse, because we've seen so much red without much of a bounce. And I would like to see us hold support to see if we get some kind of rebound move. So please watch that very, very closely. Watch that 250 area on Tesla and 244. I'm going to be patient with this. For now, we're dipping, but there could be a bounce coming later on. I don't see it on the chart yet, but it's still a possibility because of technicals and other reasons like that. But for now, as we open, there's going to be a little bit of a dip coming. Looking at SPY, the QQQ, and the others, Donald Trump is not necessarily denying a recession for this year. He's once again not ruling that out. And that's causing a lot of panic right now in the markets. So we have to be very open minded about this. So look for some downside. We'll see how we end up reacting. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll be back with another upload in just a couple of hours. Thank you for listening. Peace out.